Get appalled at. I'm blacker than Nina and Simone. I just want freedom and want all these people left alone. How in the world is that chapping you? Laughable, you catch an attitude. Glad that you going back.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. Let us talk about Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill, which is quite frankly one of the best Impact shows I've seen in a really long time. I mean, the excitement level for this show was very high, and I feel like they met it and exceeded it in certain spaces. I think that the energy was finally there for an Impact show. It's been a long time since an Impact show had some real energy to it. And this feel like they finally got it right. You know, they did all the right things. Unfortunately, AEW was running at the same time, so that kind of affected its social media following. But I think that the good response that it got will have some people at least going out of their way to try to find it. So there are some matches that you probably need to go out of your way to see. But I'll tell you about those as we get there. So let's start off with all of the news and notes before we get into the actual event. Tom Hannafan, or Hannafan, I don't know how his name is pronounced, who used to be Tom Phillips from WWE. He is now the lead commentator for Impact, and he sounds tremendous. The commentary is already 98% better with Tom Phillips on it than it was with Matt Striker or Josh Matthews. The fact that I saw an article that says that Matt Striker was fired from his job for poor performance, and he had that job for less than a year, but Josh Matthews was shitting it up on Impact for years and years, begs the question, what kind of incriminating information does he have on Scott D'Amore and Gail Kim? He must have caught them kissing under the mistletoe or something like that. Ain't no way I would keep that guy around. He's awful. Anyway, Tom Phillips was very good. Tom Phillips is very good, and he knows the product. D'Lo Brown still sucks, so there's that. That's still the LOL TNA in them, but bringing in Tom, so much better. Thank you kindly. The inspiration is out due to COVID exposure. That means that match had to be canceled. You really couldn't tell with this show, though. I think they just extended the time to other matches, and which things seemed to work out really well. Jake something, who I was looking forward to see, is also taken out. He was replaced with Speedball Mike Bailey, and this brings us to the kickoff match: Laredo Kid versus Ace Austin versus Chris Bay versus Speedball Mike Bailey in a match just to have a match. And Mike Bailey defeated Ace Austin with a 450 knee drop, which looks absolutely silly because he has to stand in this crouched position forever while I do this off the top rope knee drop. It's like, come on. Nobody stays bent over that long. You can get kicked in the balls and you won't stay bent over in front of the turnbuckle that long. Come on. You at least will go down. It makes no sense. I hate finishers that require you to be in uncomfortable, silly positions forever. The 619 makes more sense than that. Carmelo Hayes' finish, where you have to stay. It's the same thing John Cena have people do. Hey, just stay here with your head ducked down for 3 minutes while I go to the top rope and do a leg drop. Like, come on, man. Can we do better than that? All these guys, with the exception of Mike Bailey, who I'm not that familiar with, but Bay, Austin, Laredo Kid not being involved in any major storylines, shame. Impact needs to fix that. They need to get that together. But otherwise, it was a fine match. I got exposed to Mike Bailey. He was okay. I heard a lot about that name, but I'd never really seen a lot of matches from him. And I never really did any research on him either, so I can't tell you if he's any good or not. And in this match, because there were so many guys jumping all over the place and it was a fatal 4-way, it was kind of hard to gauge whether he is any good or not. But I did see him do the Naomi multiple kicks side to side thing. And I gotta say, even with a man doing it, it looks ridiculous. It looks absolutely, I'm pretty sure they got it from Japan, but it looks ridiculous. All right, so let's talk about the cold open for this show, because I think the cold open was actually pretty interesting. Where it's like guys sitting down almost like a confessional and talking about how they're hard to kill, or they'll say things like, I went through a lot, and then they'll show Josh Alexander with like bloody face and lumped up, and, black eye, whatever. And I thought that was really dope because they did it for everybody who sat down, like Eddie Edwards and all them people who to show what they've been through and that they didn't stay down, that they're hard to kill. I thought that was very dope, and I think that's worth mentioning. Because I almost never mentioned the opens, but that open was very good. The first match on the show: Chelsea Green, Rosemary, Alicia, Jordynne Grace, Tasha Steelz, and Lady Frost in the first ever women's Ultimate X match. Tasha Steelz wins this match. They got a "This is awesome" chant before they even did anything. They all were just standing around. "This is awesome." I'm like, that's Mark chanting. They don't have any taste. It's like, this is awesome because it is. It just is. It's like, can you wait for somebody to do something first? Can somebody hit somebody or, somebody do something? Tasha Steelz came out dressed like a ringleader from a carny circus with like a top hat and a cane, which was oddly fitting for this occasion. So, of course, Savannah Evans and Havoc interfered. Havoc tried to lift Rosemary up to the X. That ended up failing. That was interesting considering their baby faces. Alicia Edwards used the kendo stick. I'm tired of kendo sticks. Tired of that. There was a sky high by Jordynne Grace onto Tasha Steelz off the cables. That was pretty raw. One spot that made me laugh was Rosemary and Alicia was trying to recreate the Edge and Jeff Hardy spot from the ladder where, Jeff is dangling and then Edge dives with the spear. They tried to recreate that spot. So Rosemary leaps off the top rope as Alicia is holding the cables above the ring. She grabs her, but Alicia doesn't go down. She doesn't take a back bump. Instead, she flapjacks, meaning she falls forward on her face. It was the weirdest looking thing in the world, and it was so hilarious because clearly Alicia was scared to take a back bump. All she had to do was let go. She couldn't do it. Oh, that was hilarious. Anyway, Tasha Steelz wins the match. I'm actually impressed that they pushed Tasha Steelz over. It's been a while since she got something or anything that resembles a push in Impact, so it's a little long overdue as far as talented women is concerned. Tasha Steelz being next in line is pretty cool. I don't mind that. Let's see. Trey Miguel versus Steve Maclin. This match ruled. This match kicked ass. You got to go see this because it's everything that you would think an AEW guy would do, like a Trey Miguel. He likes doing all the fast-paced, flippity-doo-dah stuff, but he also does the traditional storytelling. He tells the story appropriately. Steve Maclin is a bruiser. He's a methodical wrestler, a guy who likes to torture his opponents and that kind of stuff. So that's what this match was. Maclin jump-started by doing a tope suicida during Trey's entrance. Trey, he continued to batter Trey up the ramp. Trey fired back with a drop kick that, left Steve Maclin rolling down the ramp in a very cartoonish way. And it was a great visual. It looked pretty good. Everybody has seen by now, no doubt, Trey Miguel's helo over the top rope, over that ring post, where he ended up in the front row. He landed on top of a fan. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was very good. He also did a sliding DDT where he slid on his knees and then hopped outside the ring. It's a little extra to, do a DDT on the floor, but DDTs are kind of just been completely, totally bastardized. But there was a long stretch of the match where Maclin was just working him over. Maclin found the back and rib area, and he just went after it. Back breakers and, the short arm shivers to the spine. His what do you call it? The crosshairs, where he put you in the tree of woe, and then he'll run across the ring and spear you. He did that in the ropes. That was pretty dope. But it creates tension. It creates a belief that Trey is in trouble. It creates weakness in Trey. It gives him opportunity, and he gives him an opportunity to fight back, to fire up and show what he got. I really liked they did the Meteora off the ring apron, where Trey jumped off the top rope, his knees onto Maclin's chest, and they both went down to the floor. A really cool spot. It of course wasn't the finish, which makes no sense considering the Meteor is Trey Miguel's finish. He ended up hitting that move, and Macklin kicked out. And the second time he hit it, Macklin was pinned. So Macklin has now been pinned for the first time in Impact, and it's by the X Division champion. And this match was very good. I really enjoyed this match. Had a very good match. Very enjoyable. Better than I would expected it to be. It was quite good. The Influence basically said that they're going to get their rematch on the 27th. Who cares? Who cares really? Jonathan Gresham versus Chris Sabin for the Ring of Honor World Title. It will be contested under pure rules, which is 3 rope breaks for each competitor, a 20 count outside the ring, no punching, but the first punch will receive a warning. The second punch will be a disqualification. When you have no more rope breaks, then you cannot be saved in the ropes at all. So if you get a submission hold, you are stuck in the ropes. That is too bad. This was Jonathan Gresham continuing the storyline that he created in Ring of Honor, which is that when he wins a title, everything becomes pure rules. So that's the difference between him and Bandito being the world champion at the same time. I'm guessing that's why when they're on the same card, he becomes the original Ring of Honor world champion, or the pure world champion, or something like that. That's cool. But this match was very good. Chris Sabin, I've been hard on Chris Sabin because I feel like he's a guy just hanging around a little too long. Especially when you got young guys like Chris Bay and Laredo Kid and Ace Austin, and they're in a kickoff match. You're kind of like, why the fuck are they still pushing Chris Sabin? And you got some of the young guys that, I know they don't have the loyalty and everything, but at some point you have to move on, right? But at the same time, he really delivered in this match. Ian Riccaboni was here. Bobby Cruz was here to do the introductions. And everything seemed like it was pretty sweet. It was a nice little tribute to Ring of Honor. They did the Code of Honor handshake to start the match. They told a simple story with Gresham being the superior grappler, but Chris Sabin was a little bit more aggressive, and he's also a little bit faster. Gresham, of course, had a better handle on the rules of what the match was, and used his rope breaks accordingly. When he used he used only 2 rope breaks, but his second one was on the cradle shock after Chris Sabin hit his finish. Gresham put his foot on the ropes, so that was pretty cool. The finish comes with them trading pinfall attempts, only for Jonathan Gresham to hit him with La Majestad Cradle with the bridge, and he got a pure pinfall, 1, 2, 3. Really good match. This match, it was dope, very dope. Really enjoyed this. This was quite good. Best match on the show, as far as I'm concerned. That and Steve Macklin and Trey Miguel, both very good matches. I would probably give it the Ring of Honor World Title match. Probably give that a nod, just a shade above Macklin and Trey. Very good match. Then we got Jonah and Josh Alexander, another really solid match. Josh Alexander defeats Jonah by submission. I don't know if I would have had him beat by submission, but I guess Jonah's not going to be around much longer. Jonah's tights were very interesting. They were a interesting mix of One Man Gang and Bam Bam Bigelow. He had the fire on the side, but he had the skull on the front. So it was pretty cool. Just wanted to tell people that I know who One Man Gang is and that Bam Bam Bigelow. And of course, Sticky Boy is neither one of those things. But I walked out of this match with a little bit more of a healthy respect for him. They told a simple story. Size. Jonah is big. He's strong. He wants to crush you. And he will if he can. Sentons, running him in the corner, splash, big slams, stuff like that. But he also likes to torture, so he likes to do basic submission holds like a over-the-shoulder backbreaker and stuff like that. Josh Alexander is showing his aggression, his desire, his will to win, how he's fighting, and especially during the big comeback spot where he was stomping Jonah in the face, and it looked like it was going to go for a referee stoppage, which I think would have probably been a better finish is if Jonah had not responded. And as he was being stomped in the face, which that gif should be floating around now, about Josh Alexander just absolutely going nuts and stomping Jonah in the face all those times. Like, that was great shit, you know. And as Jonah was in control of the match, occasionally you would get a little bit some flare ups from Josh Alexander, and he was able to target that ankle, and that of course played into the finish as he defeated him with the ankle lock. So this match was very solid. I really enjoyed this too. It was another good hard hitting match, very mature match. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I enjoyed it. That's 3 in a row, and it's hard for me to even say I like Impact. I'm sometimes I get kind of scared to tell people I even watch it, even though I don't have a channel. But this made me, vindicated me. You know, this was a storyline that they put some time into, and Thick Boy and Josh Alexander actually delivered. Trey Miguel and Macklin, they put some story behind that, and then they went out there and they delivered it. The Ring of Honor World title is a bit of a special attraction, but it fit. It was different from the rest of the card. Okay, cool. It works. Now we get to the hardcore war, and I got to tell you, I've been so burned out on tables and chairs and everything in the world. I am tired of street fights. There has been a street fight on every major wrestling promotion this damn week. There has been somebody hitting somebody with a kendo stick, somebody hitting somebody with a chair, somebody hitting somebody with something, somebody throwing somebody through a table. It's just been so much that we've completely devalued the concept of the street fight, of the hardcore match, the no disqualification match. It's been completely bastardized. So I found myself having a difficult time getting into this match because it's a weapons match, and plus it features a lot of people I don't like. So it's the hardcore war, the Violent by Design, which consists of Deanna, Eric Young, and Joe Doring. They're teaming with the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, to battle Willie Mack, Rich Swann, Heath Rhino, and Eddie Edwards. Because Eddie Edwards is the superhero of Impact Wrestling, and he's always going to stand up for good, even when he shouldn't be there at all. Eddie Edwards lit his kendo stick on fire and hit a man with it. I was like, okie dokie, whatever you say, dog. Eddie Edwards got power drives off the ring apron through a table, and that was pretty wild. It kept him down for a while, which is the goal. It should be a stretcher spot, but whatever. There was a spear of course, a table or the barbed wire board was set up in the corner. And Joe Doring speared a guy. I think it was Rich Swann through the barbed wire, and there was this horrific scream that Swann was doing. It was so frightening. He's like, ah, ah. It really sold that barbed wire hurts. It really, really sold it. And for a couple of seconds there, I was like, wait a minute, is this guy, did he blow out his back or something? Like, what's going on here? And then I was like, oh, he's just screaming because of the goddamn barbed wire. Like, okay, put that barbed wire over, bruh. All right, so Rhino gores, I forget which one. I think it might have been who? It was somebody, maybe Anderson. And then Heath stole the pin. So Heath wins the match. So as Violent by Design and all the bad guys are filing out, the good guys are celebrating in the ring. And then out of nowhere, here comes Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, and they're attacking Rich Swann and Willie Mack. Then out of nowhere, here comes PCO, here comes Vincent. Maria is out there. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And it's like an entire Ring of Honor contingent out here running Impact streets. And this was actually pretty good. I like this. I remember, I think it might have been on my AEW review, I pitched an ROH invasion. And maybe Impact is the better place to do this. Or it might just be Mike and Maria. Building off of their last run in Impact. But this was very intriguing. It got me talking. This is very interesting stuff. Vincent and Matt Taven just had a blood feud, which just ended in a steel cage match at I would say fourth quarter 2020. They had that steel cage match that was very fucking good, by the way. So what are we going to do here as far as storytelling is concerned? We just going to whitewash that, or are we going to factor that in? How's that going to work? Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. And then Vincent looks like Vincent from the Righteous, but there was no other Righteous with him. Like Veda Von Starr and Dutch and all those guys, they weren't there, which you would think they would be. But, I don't know what's going on yet. So Tom Hannafin, and D'Lo Brown were, of course, concerned about what's going on here. Like, is Ring of Honor invading us after we so kindly allowed them to have a world championship on our pay-per-view? All of a sudden, they're just going to invade our show and attack our guys? And I was like, oh, that's dope. And then they went to the back, and Scott D'Amore was like, I'm about to call Baltimore to see what's going on. And I'm like, ha, okay. Who is in Baltimore he's going to talk to, though? That's what I want to know. So that ought to be fun, And then a little bit of a spoiler: Roxy was watching the main event, Mickie James versus Deanna Perazzo, because she was challenged by, I believe, Deanna Perazzo for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. So this is all getting real crazy. This is the right kind of Forbidden Door, This is Impact being the big spoon because they're the ones who have weekly television. Ring of Honor really isn't even in function right now. They have history between the two organizations. They used to share talent a long time ago. If I remember correctly, I think they even somebody mentioned that Ring of Honor and TNA actually started within months of each other. And this year is the 20-year anniversary of pretty much both promotions. So you talk about something that could have some real weight to it if they did it correctly. So there's an opportunity here with this. And it could definitely jazz up some of these impacts. Now, of course, with everything, I have to do some criticism. And for me, the criticism is, it's a couple. One, this is a show closing angle for me. Like, if you did close the show with Mike and Maria and Matt Taven and all of them, and Scott D'Amore saying he's got to call Baltimore to see what's going on, it would have been like, okay, can't wait for Impact, the show, for you to tell me what you heard from your phone call in Baltimore. But they had 2 matches after this, and I'm thinking, oh, is the invasion over? Like, we just came to invade the end of this specific match, and then that's it. We're not going to continue invading. We're not going to continue going on a rampage. We're just going to show up here now, and that's kind of it. I don't know. I didn't like that. It just felt like this should have been a show closing angle for me. Like, you should have ended the show with, maybe even the world champion, and those guys on the ground. And maybe even tease Gresham being a part of this thing. Tease Roxy being a part of it. And then later on, of course, they could say, we don't represent whatever it is Maria is doing. But make it seem like they're a part of it at first. And then you can separate them later. I like that idea. I mean, I like this angle. Because, and another criticism of mine is I just feel like sometimes with this whole Forbidden Door stuff, we just see the same people over and over again. And Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, like they're in NWA. Now they're popping up in here. It's like the last place for them to pop up is MLW. And it's inevitable that they're going to pop up there too. And I'm just going to be like, okay, I don't want to see the same people, Homicide on every other network now. We don't need that, but it was nice to have a nice little contingent here of Ring of Honor guys. And these are long-term Ring of Honor guys, I think with the exception of PCO. I'm not sure how long he was in Ring of Honor. But these are some long-term Ring of Honor guys. Of course, some of the bigger names are already gone, like the Jay Lethal and the Briscoes. They're already gone. But this could be very interesting for Impact and for Ring of Honor to keep the Ring of Honor name alive. This could be very good. I like it. I think it's a great angle. Very important for Impact to do the forbidden door the way they wanted to do it, which is to have a mixture of men and women. And they have the opportunity here because Ring of Honor released everybody from their contracts, so that means the women too. But there has to be some women that can represent Ring of Honor and, to do their part of this whole invasion angle. Or it could just be the Kingdom. It could just be Mike and Maria, Taven, Vincent, and some goons of theirs. And it's not really Ring of Honor invading. But I think they did a good job of leaving that an open question about whether it's Ring of Honor or whether it's rogue elements within Ring of Honor. So I really look forward to that. Moose, Morrissey, and Cardona for the Impact World title. Moose retains the belt. Not surprised, even though they did get me to believe for a moment that Cardona had a chance. As usual, Morrissey had no business being in this match, but he did his part. He did his part. It's a standard triple threat match with weapons. Chelsea Green came out there and she jumped off the ring stage. She jumped off the stage, rather, onto Moose and Morrissey and all them. She continued to hang around the match and get in the way. And twice she almost got hit with a chair until the guy just pulled the chair up just before it hit her. The finish came with Cardona trying to hit the Rough Rider, what he called the radio silence. Moose caught him, did like a buckle bomb while Chelsea Green was in the corner and the referee. And from that buckle bomb, he hit the ropes, spear, 1, 2, 3. And this was pretty cool, man. It wasn't terrible. It was just cool, they did some good stuff in here. There was a Moose was shoved off the top rope through a table, because he was about to do like a moonsault or something. And he gets shoved off the top rope and he just soars and hits this table. And he was down for a while after he hit that table because, selling. Also, Morrissey got his hand on somebody's prosthetic leg and was hitting people with this prosthetic leg. It was absolutely silly. But it was okay. No real complaints. Would I ever look at it again? No. It is what it is. The main event, the Texas Death Match, Mickie James versus Deanna Perazzo. So there was new rules added to this match because Deanna Perazzo was scheming. So they said that if Matthew Raywalt puts his hands on Mickie James, then this match will end in a disqualification because that's Deanna Perazzo will lose the match. And if he did, he will also be fired. So they had to be smart in how they used Matthew Raywalt here, and I think they did a decent job. So the rules of the Texas Death Match, if you're not familiar, is you have to get to your feet by a 10 count, but it's pinfalls and submissions before that. So think last man standing plus pinfalls and submissions. If you watched WrestleMania 10, then you saw Crush versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. That was a Texas Death Match, and it definitely could have been better. I don't like the pinfalls in the death match. I prefer the everybody goes for, the 10 count, then you get hit with a big move, and then you get up before 10 seconds, Adding the pinfalls to me seems a little extra. It's a little unnecessary. The match itself was a violent affair. These two have history, which makes this match infinitely different from street fights on other wrestling programs where it just seems to happen. These two have been beefing for a long time, and the feud continued to escalate to the point where they were fighting in a barn. And if I remember correctly, Deanna Perazzo tried to stab Mickie James with a pitchfork. So when this match elevated to the point where Mickie was bleeding, and then later Deanna is bleeding, it made sense. I mean, they were trying to drown each other in horse water at one point. And now, they're in this match, and it's violent, and they're getting at it. And look, I'm not thrilled about Mickie James going through thumbtacks. I'm not thrilled by that. I don't like that. And I didn't like it. It sucks. Not thrilled about her blading, or Deanna blading for that instance. Not a big fan of the women's blading thing. I know it's becoming a kind of a I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in WWE going to try to do it eventually and try to get Sasha is probably going to be the one that's going to try to be, I want a Blade. And people are going to be like, oh, fuck. Because everybody's doing it now. And all the chicks want to start going out there doing, I want a Blade. I'm like, oh, Lord, no. Anyway, there was a lot of pinfalls, a lot of submissions in this match. Deanna Perazzo used one of her finishes, which is the Queen's Gambit, which is a God-style power driver. She did that through a table on Mickey and still managed to lose the match, which is very odd decision-making. So this match was a nice little send-off for their feud. I think that it was worthy of the main event spot. I think this was the match that had the most build-up. And I think it's the blow-off match for their months-long feud. This feud's been going on for at least 5-6 months, maybe. It's been going on for a long time. And, to have this feud going on for so long, it deserves the main event spot. And while I don't really like the format, I feel like the match delivered. This match was really good. And Mickey is tremendous. Her dedication to the business is something else. Doing the thumbtacks and doing the blading. Hey, she doesn't need to do it. She's doing it because I think she's basically just challenging herself at this point. She knows she can go out there and have the match, but now she also knows that if she puts time and the effort in, she can have the smoke and mirrors effect too. The finish was a little bit botched because Mickey wins with the Mick DDT, which is the jumping DDT, and she pinned Deanna. I think Deanna may have some thumbtacks on her face or something like that, and then she never made it to the 10 count. Matthew Raywalt didn't really do much. He came out in the middle of the match. Since he couldn't touch Mickie James, he picked up Deanna to break up the count. Later in the match, he got hit in the head with a guitar because Mickey had a guitar. So this was a fine show. I'm kind of burned out on blood and guts and people hitting each other with chairs and tables and all that kind of shit. So the main event and the hardcore war were kind of on me. That's just me being honest. I watched way too much wrestling for me to be still excited about another blood and guts match, another somebody power drive somebody through a table, another I'm gonna hit you with this chair, another hit people with kendo sticks, another chairs and chairs and chairs and chairs and chairs. It's just too much. It's too much of this shit in wrestling right now. So the hardcore war and the main event, I don't think I can judge those fairly just because those styles have been so overexposed. But Macklin and Miguel, very good. Chris Sabin, Gresham, very good. Jonah, Alexander, very good. The triple threat match was okay. That was fine too. This was a worthy show, This was a good show. I'm glad I watched it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, donate. Thank you guys for your time. Be sure to like this video if you want me to continue doing Impact and doing pay-per-views and stuff like that. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
MongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.